Hey guys, I'm doing a video for 09 to 18 and 19 classic Ram for two-wheel drive front control arm, because there isn't any damn videos on YouTube how to do it, so I might as well make no air compressor, so you'll be able to do this at home. All right guys, now that we got the wheel off, should be simple enough to do that. I'm going to show you a way to do it without actually taking the brake caliper off. I'm going to take off the whole spindle as one piece from the upper control arm down to the lower ball joint. And then all we'll need to worry about is the shock bolt up here, the sway bar end link, taking that out from here, and the tie rod. All right guys, just for simplicity's sake and because I can't find shit in my garage, I'm gonna be using an open-ended wrench just to take off half these bolts, because typically they're not torqued down too hard. All right, so you want to start, just take the shock off first, because you need to put a jack under here if you're not going to use a spring compressor. And if you put the jack here first before taking the shock out, you won't be able to take these two bolts at the bottom over here off. And you'll be stuck having to put another jack stand or use another jack to get it back up and to take it off. Have your shock disassembled from there. Before you start breaking any ball joints loose, now that there's not really much holding the lower control arm up and in place besides some loose ball joints, go ahead and put the jack stand right under where the shock would be. And right before you're gonna lower this and start breaking all this loose, the last bolt holding it in would be this one right here. Just go ahead and remove it from the top, because once you get the control arm out, you can get a better chance to take it off from the bottom. Before you jack it up, make sure you have this off, the upper ball joint loosened, the lower ball joint loosened, and your tie rod loosened. I'm gonna jack this up to put some pressure on it, like if it was actually driving. That way I can actually smash on the ball joints and pop those free. All right guys, after like 50 hits to the lower control arm, really the spindle, hit it at the bottom and where the tie rod connects to, create some down force and some up force vibrations, a little bit of wiggity diggity. And just take the lower ball joint nut off. And I like to put the wheel here just so I have something so the brake line doesn't drag. I told you I was gonna take everything. This is actually the ABS. Brake line's over here. I'm actually taking all this off at once, just so I don't have to take off these little nuts and bolts to get the brake pads off, the rotor. I like to keep it simple. All right guys, once you got that nut loosened on the bottom, this thing should just fall out and put her nice and easy on the wheel. All right guys, now you got that out the way, slowly, I mean slowly, move the jack down so that you can decompress the spring so it doesn't go flying and kill somebody. Just like that. All this excessive play right here, this is torqued down, remember. All this excessive play, you want to get in here real quick, babe? There's going to be movement here, back and forth. Forward and backward. I don't know how good I can get it on camera. I'm going to have her hold it. All that forward play, that's what's giving your truck a shitty ride. Alright, and then take the spring out, you just push down on this bad boy. Pull out the spring. And I'm a cheap ass, but now would be a good time to replace this insulator, even though mine's ripped through. But for time's sake, I'm just gonna use this one. Alright, and then the lower control arm's held in by two 24mm bolts. It has a lock nut, so don't try to push or pull on this. I did that the first time I did the other side and I got nowhere. It's actually this outside nut here is the lock nut. This is just the camber washer. It doesn't even move, it moves with the other bolt. And here you can see the clear failure. The bushing ripped entirely on the front bushing on one whole side. These slots are in here on the bottom and top to allow some movement up and down. But you see here, this bushing is completely ripped on this side. If I had some leverage, I could move this pretty easily. Same thing with the other side. Completely torn. I mean, really, it's a joke. You know, I'm using, 5 pounds of pressure. This thing's supposed to carry the whole weight of the truck, and fucking pinky can move it. Assembly is the same as this assembly. Just put the spring in where it fits. If the isolator is ripped through, I like to put it in a different spot. If it's not ripped through, I like to put it in the same spot. you'll see what I mean. And then just kind of slowly jack it up and make sure it's going in the hole on the bottom or the little slit, and then progressively make sure it's seated right here, and we're good. When you're jacking it up, make sure this lines up with the sway bar. You don't want the end link going over here, then you got to jack it back down and do it all over again. So just take your time. Hey guys, just making a quick hindsight 2020 video. I didn't really mention a lot of the details as far as taking them off, as far as the nuts and bolts go. So just real quick, the ones I remember off the top of my head are going to be the lower ball joints, a 24 millimeter. I just used the open-ended wrench. These, the lock nut and the camber bolts, also 24 millimeter. Top of this, I believe, is a 16. The bottom of it is a 18 or a 17 or something. You can take a good look at that. The reason I did it is because, man, I've worked on a bunch of cars and shit, they're all different. You know, one day it'll be a 13 on the bottom of this shock, and then the next day it'll be a 15. So I just use the open end wrench. I think the top of that shock bolt's a 19. This is a 11 or 13th, 16th for the upper ball joint. And yeah, I mean, that video it's not really catered to people that are new to fixing their own cars. It's more of a DIY, do-it-yourselfer, someone that's used to being, you know, around a car, and it's just a simple shortcut. That way you don't have to use a spring compressor or have to take these little bits and pieces off and all this extra shit. Hope you enjoy the video.